Black Dahlia Murder, a tale of tragedy, mystery, and obsession. It was a city built on dreams and illusions. Los Angeles, California, where the brightest stars of Hollywood shone like beacons, drawing in hopeful souls from across the country, eager to escape their past and reinvent themselves. But amidst the sparkling lights and grand film premieres, darkness simmered beneath the surface, a world far removed from the glamour of Tinseltown. Elizabeth Short, a young woman with hopes of stardom, arrived in Los Angeles in the early 1940s, her suitcase filled with dreams and ambition. But like so many before her, her dreams would be shattered by a cruel and unforgiving fate. In the months before her murder, Elizabeth lived in limbo, caught between the promises of a bright future and the harsh reality of a city that chewed up and spit out those who couldn't make it. Her tragic death on that cold January morning would not only end her life, but would leave a permanent scar on the city of Los Angeles, sparking one of the most enduring unsolved mysteries in American criminal history. Before we dive deeper into this haunting mystery, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our true crime stories. Elizabeth Short, the girl with the dark eyes. Elizabeth Short was born on July 29, 1924, in Boston, Massachusetts. She was the third of 5 daughters born to Cleo and Phoebe May Short. Her father, Cleo, was an ambitious man who, for reasons unknown, deserted the family when Elizabeth was just a child, leaving Phoebe May to raise the children on her own. Elizabeth's early years were marked by poverty and instability. She often spoke of her childhood with a sense of detachment, as though she had already come to terms with the absence of a father figure and the burdens placed on her mother. Her family life was difficult, to say the least. Her mother, who had to juggle raising 5 children, moved the family frequently, trying to make ends meet. By the time Elizabeth was a teenager, she had developed an interest in the arts, especially acting. At just 18 years old, she made the bold decision to leave her small, troubled life behind and head for California, seeking fame and fortune in the sprawling metropolis of Los Angeles. Elizabeth had an undeniable beauty, dark, captivating eyes and raven black hair. She quickly became known in her new surroundings for her striking appearance, and some who met her claimed she had the look of a star. However, her dreams of stardom never materialized. She worked a series of menial jobs, including waitressing, and never made much of an impact on the Hollywood scene. Yet, there was always a lingering air of mystery around her, a woman who was both an enigma and a symbol of Hollywood's dark underbelly. Those who knew her, even casually, recalled a woman who was both charismatic and melancholic. A young woman with big dreams and a tragic undercurrent running through her life. Despite her personal struggles, Elizabeth never gave up on her aspirations. She even went so far as to apply for a part-time job at a commissary at the Army base Camp Cook in 1943. But Hollywood's beckoning call was never far behind. Her life, though short, was a path filled with hope, heartbreak, and, ultimately, mystery. Elizabeth's final months in Los Angeles were a whirlwind of uncertain relationships and temporary residences. She had been living on the edges of the Hollywood dream, never quite fitting in with the glamorous crowd, but always yearning for it. Her most recent acquaintance had been a man who claimed to have an affair with her just days before her death. But despite the rocky and transient nature of her relationships, Elizabeth's hope for a better life never waned. Her last known stay was at the famous Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, where she was seen by several people who later described her as friendly but distant. She had spent several days with various people in the weeks leading up to her death, and it appeared as though she was drifting, always searching for something or someone who could offer her the security and stability she longed for. Her final moments remain a mystery. Some investigators believed she had met with someone just before her death, a man who may have lured her to her doom. Others suggested that she had been the victim of a botched sexual assault or a killer with a personal vendetta. Theories abound, but no one truly knows what transpired in the final hours of her life. The morning of January 15, 1947 began like any other. The sun was just rising, casting a faint light over the city of Los Angeles, where the usual morning routines were unfolding. But for a mother and her young child, their quiet walk in Limert Park would mark the beginning of a tragedy that would haunt the city for decades to come. As they strolled past the vacant lot, the mother noticed something odd in the distance, what appeared to be a mannequin. But as they drew closer, the horrifying reality set in. The figure was not a mannequin at all. It was a young woman, cut in half at the waist, her body so meticulously arranged that it was almost as if she were a display piece. The victim was Elizabeth Short. Her body had been drained of blood, her organs removed with unsettling precision, and there were no signs of struggle. The authorities were quickly called, and within hours, the press descended on the crime scene, ready to feast on the grisly details of the murder. The investigation into Short's death was chaotic from the outset. Witnesses claimed to have seen Elizabeth in various locations just before her death, but none of their accounts matched, and the police were left grasping at straws. Despite the horrific nature of the crime, the detectives were left with few clues. The lack of blood at the scene, the surgical removal of organs, and the fact that the body had been transported to the vacant lot without being detected pointed to a killer with a precise, methodical nature, someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Once the news broke, Elizabeth Short's murder quickly became the focus of media frenzy. Journalists from across the country descended upon Los Angeles, eager to report every sordid detail about the case. The press was quick to dub her the Black Dahlia, a name that would forever be linked to her grisly death. The press coverage was extensive and lurid. Headlines screamed about Elizabeth's beauty, her brief stints in Hollywood, and the savage nature of her murder. They painted a portrait of a woman who had fallen victim to the dark side of fame and fortune, a starlet doomed by the very city she had come to conquer. The name Black Dahlia stuck, and it became a symbol of Hollywood's underbelly, its dark, dangerous world that was often more terrifying than any movie could portray. The media obsession with Elizabeth Short's death would only grow over the coming weeks and months, feeding the public's insatiable hunger for sensationalism and crime. As the investigation unfolded, detectives quickly realized that they were dealing with a case unlike any other. There was no clear motive, no eyewitnesses, and no real physical evidence to point to a suspect. Detective Harry Hansen, who led the investigation, described the case as a puzzle with missing pieces. But the lack of evidence didn't stop the public from coming up with their own theories. Everyone had a suspect, from Hollywood moguls to petty criminals. One theory suggested that Elizabeth had been involved in an illicit relationship with a prominent figure in the city's elite circles, which had ended tragically. Another theory posited that her killer was simply a deranged individual, stalking the streets of Los Angeles in search of his next victim. Theories aside, the LAPD focused their attention on the forensic evidence. It was clear that the killer had removed Elizabeth's organs with surgical skill, which led investigators to consider the possibility that the murderer was a physician or had experience in mortuary work. But despite these insights, the investigation went nowhere. Over the years, the Black Dahlia case has generated numerous theories about who could have committed such a brutal and calculated crime. The most prominent theory involves George Hodel, a Los Angeles physician with a history of questionable behavior. Hodel's son, Steve Hodel, an ex-cop, became convinced that his father was responsible for the murder. In his books, Steve Hodel suggested that his father had both the motive and the knowledge to commit the crime. There were also other suspects, ranging from a former soldier with ties to the Hollywood elite to a man who was believed to have had an affair with Elizabeth. Yet, none of these theories have ever been conclusively proven. The lack of solid evidence and the passage of time have allowed the case to slip further into the realm of speculation. Despite decades of theories, confessions, and investigations, the Black Dahlia case remains unsolved. There are no definitive answers to who killed Elizabeth Short, and the mystery of her death continues to captivate and haunt the public imagination. Theories abound, and the case is often revisited in books, documentaries, and films. But with no new evidence and no arrests, the Black Dahlia remains one of the most tragic and mystifying unsolved murders in American history. Elizabeth Short's murder continues to haunt the streets of Los Angeles and the world at large. The Black Dahlia case, though over 70 years old, is still fresh in the minds of many. It represents not just a brutal crime, but the very essence of a city that has long been obsessed with both its own grandeur and its darkness. Her story, tragic, enigmatic, and unresolved, will continue to be retold for generations to come, in the hopes that one day the truth might finally come to light. If this case left you speechless, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for more unsolved cases. And don't forget to like and share this video if you want us to keep uncovering the darkest mysteries in criminal history.